Last video we talked about the PlayStation Vita and all the cool things it could do when it was modded. Make sure you go ahead and check that one out. But today we're going to be talking about the Nintendo 3DS, my favorite handheld console of all time. And I know a lot of y'all are like, oh well, the 3DS shop closed, you know, bad news. But hey, when you mod your 3DS, it doesn't matter if the shop closed. You can pretty much do everything you could before the shop closed. So let's go ahead and hop into all the cool things you could do on a Nintendo 3DS. So starting off, once you mod your 3DS, of course you have the ability to pretty much get any Nintendo 3DS game on your system. And this is an awesome ability because right now in the 3DS market, games are very high in price because the 3DS shop did close, and there's just so many games to enjoy, and to have all these games on one system is awesome. Some of my favorites are New Super Mario Bros. 2 on the 3DS, which is an awesome game, a classic, everybody knows about this one. Next, again, another staple that you have to have on your 3DS is Mario Kart 7. This is honestly an underrated Mario Kart that I think people need to appreciate more. I definitely think it's almost as good as Mario Kart 8, but you already know Mario Kart 8 is king. Third game I definitely want to recommend you is Kirby Planet Robobot. This is one of the best Kirby games of all time in my opinion, maybe even the best Kirby game of all time. And you have the ability to turn into a robot as Kirby. I don't know, it's just a crazy concept, but it's definitely a game I can recommend. And next is the Virtual Console. You can pretty much play any Game Boy Advance game on the 3DS. All you do is load them up and bang, you have a big Game Boy Advance library on your Nintendo 3DS. And there's so many games to choose from. One of my favorites is Donkey Kong Country. Of course, a classic, a staple. I definitely can't recommend this one enough. Another little cool thing that I love about my modded 3DS is the custom themes. You can actually have this software called a Monet 3D Theme Manager, and it allows you to pretty much download any theme from the internet. People upload custom themes all the time. You can go ahead and look at them, scroll through them, see what's your taste, and you can go ahead and preview them to see if you like them, and bang, you can go ahead and download them and install them straight to your 3DS and use them as your custom theme. This is awesome because, as I mentioned, people are very creative and people upload a bunch of cool themes, so it's cool to have these options on your 3DS. And another great mod you definitely want to have is Twilight Menu Plus. It actually pops up this DS screen, which is kind of nostalgic, and it's definitely a nice touch. But once you load it up, it basically is a bunch of different files that you can go ahead and put games in. There's Game Boy Advance, Game Boy, even some original Nintendo, as well as, of course, DS. I have about 5 folders of my Nintendo DS games, and all in alphabetical order, with a total of about 100 DS games. And we already know the DS library is really awesome. There's a bunch of different genres, a huge selection to choose from, and there's some classics like Mario 64 DS, which is one of my favorites, and another game as in Soul Silver, which is just a classic and I can't recommend it enough. And next is the Nintendo selection. These games are very, very small, so if you like, you really just add the whole Nintendo library to your 3DS if that's something you're really interested in. And of course, there's a bunch of staples and classics in this library, so it's definitely cool to have all these on your system. Next, of course, we got the original Game Boy as well as the Game Boy Color, and there's a limited amount of games that are definitely worth being on your 3DS. One of my favorites is Kirby Adventure, definitely an underrated game. Well, I don't know if it's underrated, but it's definitely a phenomenal game that I can't recommend enough. And it's just awesome to have all these on your system. And for original Game Boy games, as you see, there's a small resolution, but you could go ahead and stretch it out on your 3DS screen, which makes these games playing a lot more enjoyable. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, you can go ahead and enjoy and play any of the Game Boy Advance games as well. This is a very important one, that is the Homebrew Launcher. This one allows you to pretty much download Homebrew, surprise, surprise, and there's a bunch of easy things to download on here, which is awesome because it's very accessible to pretty much anybody. As you see, you got a Monet 3DS, which allows you to download the custom themes. You got a forwarder, you got the universal updater, which allows you to update your console. You got FBI, which allows you to download the 3DS games. You got the NDS forwarder generator, which allows you to go ahead and put your Nintendo DS games on your home menu instead of the Twilight Menu Plus. And you got the parental unlock, which allows you to unlock a parental locked 3DS. So if you have a locked 3DS, this is how you can fix that. And me personally, I didn't have my DS games on my home menu, so I took this opportunity to go ahead and do that, and man, they look great on the home menu. And the great thing about modding your console is you can get a simple SanDisk micro SD adapter with a micro SD of any size that you like. I believe you can go up to a 1 terabyte on the 3DS, which is kind of insane. As long as you format it correctly, you can go ahead and put anything up to 1 terabyte in your 3DS, which is more than enough space for any games that you're looking for. And this is awesome because you don't want to be limited on how many games you want to put on your system. As you see, I have about 125 3DS games, and that's all the ones that I personally want. But if you want the whole library, I definitely recommend getting a 0.5 terabyte, and that should be more than enough space to make your dream 3DS. And yeah, that's everything I could do on my modded Nintendo 3DS. There's a ton of awesome things you could do once modded, and there's a ton of things that I haven't touched on myself. There's some ports, some emulators, etc. that I haven't even done to my 3DS myself, and there's definitely even more ability abilities to unlock. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you modded your 3DS, and if you haven't, what's the wait? I definitely recommend it. There's so many cool things you do on the 3DS to keep it alive. But anyways, I'll see y'all next time. Hope y'all enjoyed. I'll see y'all, man.